Okay, and we're live on the Niche Agent. So today we've got a fantastic guest. It's Michael J. Maher. So Michael, why don't you take a quick second and tell us a bit about yourself and why you're here?
Well, why I'm here is because you invited me. That's the number one reason that I'm here.
That's the truth.
Michael J. Mayer, who am I? That's a loaded question, my epitaph on my tombstone will be if you gave Michael Mayer an ounce of interest, he gave you a ton of love, and that is truly my motto of life. And from the real estate perspective, I was a teacher for 4 years at a high school. I taught high school math. I typically don't lead with that because that's when people start tuning out of your show. But I went in the summer. I bought my first home, and I was looking for a summer job. So I thought, well, I want to get licensed so that I can learn how to invest in real estate, and I will. I noticed how much money they got paid for doing very little on my new home. So I thought, well, that's the perfect match. Not do very much and make a lot of money. So I got licensed, and interestingly enough, I played semi-pro softball during that time, and one of my teammates needed to buy a house, and it was like, I'll help you. He's a first-time home buyer. So I helped them buy their house. Interestingly enough, when you're early in the business, you don't have a lot of money, but you have a significant amount of time. So as softball players, we really like to do two things. One is play softball, and number two is drink beer. So what we did is we decided that I decided that I was going to throw my new clients, Davey and Vanessa, a housewarming party. So I was going to invite the softball team and the people they knew, and also I was going to invite their 20 neighbors to come to this housewarming party. And we had beer and pizza, of course, because that's what you do when you have no money. And what was funny is about 40 people showed up. The energy was off the charts. It was fantastic. And what was so amazing is this was a celebration for Davey and Vanessa. It also turned out to be a phenomenal event for me because everybody was complimenting me on helping make it happen, and they were all talking to me about real estate and asking questions about real estate. And the number one thing I heard was, I've never heard of a real estate agent holding a housewarming party for a client. Well, listen, your listeners are going to be underwhelmed with my intelligence throughout this entire interview. I may not be the sharpest knife in the drawer. I may not even qualify for the drawer. But I immediately recognized an opportunity, and I became the agent who, for every buyer who bought a home with the Mayer team, they would get a housewarming party. And so we started throwing housewarming parties. And what's interesting, the very first party I did, I got 11 referrals. Wow. If we had the systems in place then that we do now, I probably would have had the opportunity to get 30 or 40 referrals from that one housewarming party. As it is, I got 11, and that propelled me through the summer. And also, I went back to teach for my fourth and final year. And during planning periods and after school, I was trying to fill in the gaps, and every weekend I was showing and selling homes. And it ended up that I resigned from teaching. I went into real estate full-time. And then in my third year, I sold 186 homes for $40.1 million, and I netted nearly $1 million in my third year of full-time real estate. And that's in Kansas City, right? This is not California numbers or Toronto, of all places, right?
We do have good numbers here, so.
Yeah, and so now we're 10 years later, and $1 billion in sales and thousands of transactions, and I wrote a book 3 years ago that I was hoping would end all the questions, right? It's like I would get all these questions about all the referrals we're getting, and I thought, it's like they asked me about housewarming parties, and it's like I would give them an answer, but I wasn't giving them the answer. So I wrote the book to be the answer, and it ended up it exploded a whole new life for Michael Maher, and now I spend 45 weeks of the year on the road, and the other 6 to 7 on vacation, and most of that I live in Atlanta. My team is still in Kansas City,
Right.
and I travel weekly to speak to everything from entrepreneurs and small business owners to realtors, and that brings us up to today.
Awesome. So you're American, so I got to ask, is it niche or niche? Because in Canada we call it niche.
Yeah, you know, it's niche or niche. You know, we call it niche because we're hillbillies, I think. You call it whatever you want, and I bet you know, look at that word. I mean, how it's really Nike, right? Niche. Let's just call it Nike. This whole interview, we're just going to talk about my Nike.
All right.
My Nike,
So your Nike is referrals and housewarming parties, and it kind of spun off, as you said, is you learned to get the referrals from the housewarming parties. So to get an idea for the listeners, how many referrals are you getting, and like what's the scope of your referral practice?
Yeah, so my first year, I got probably 30 to 40 referrals, completely by accident. And then the next year, I probably got 50 to 60 referrals. Interestingly enough, in the 3 months of that summer, I made more than I made in the 9 months of teaching.
Wow.
And it wasn't all about the money. I do like the fact that in real estate, our earnings typically align with our efforts, right, versus teaching or other jobs. And then I discovered some things that I'd be glad to talk about on this interview that immediately ramped my referrals from 50, 60 to 150, and then the year I netted $1 million, we had over 500 referrals in 1 year. And then we've consistently been in the hundreds of referrals every year since then.
That's amazing.
A couple months ago, I got 205 referrals in 3 weeks with one strategy.
Wow. Are you going to be able to share that one with us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That's amazing, because I know a lot of agents struggle even to get a few referrals a year.
Yeah.
They don't intentionally do it. So we'll talk about some of the strategies and how you do that. But if you're a new agent and you're getting started, what's the important thing that people should know? What's the first step of getting referrals?
Well, the first step is to lead with generosity, in my opinion. My whole philosophy is built on generosity, right? Give first and lead with generosity. And the thing about a new agent, and they're like, well, I don't know how to give, right? I don't know what I have to offer. And the truth is I mean, it's like they have you in your office. They have you as a resource. They have the team leader. They have a market center. They have a ton of resources that are untapped, right? If they went and they sat across from a business owner who needed more referrals, right? They could come to you and they could ask you, hey, I really want to build a relationship with this entrepreneur. You know, one of their big focuses right now for their business is referrals. You know, what do you have? And you would be able to give them tons of resources, right? So the bottom line is that realize that you have a ton of value to the market from the aspect of giving massive value first, right? What you want to do in your life, in my belief, is you want to develop your authentic generosity. And your authentic generosity is what is the generosity that is unique to you? Like for Ryan, how can you use your talents, your genius, your gifts to give massive value to the world, right? Because here's what's going to happen. As soon as you identify and implement your authentic generosity, what happens is opportunity seeks the generous, right? And you're going to start getting opportunities because of the massive value that you've sent out there. And I have to tell you, that's how my book became a bestseller, is people didn't buy the book in the beginning because the book was good. They bought the book in the beginning because our relationship was good.
Right.
Right? They bought the book for me, and they're like, you know what, I'll give you $30 here. You know, it was like a donation. And then they read it, and they found out, dang, this is a really good book, right? And what's so funny is that's so hard to do because all the culture of sales is to chase, right? We're all taught, doggone it, go, callous your heart, right? Callous your heart for rejection and go out and just like knock on 1,000 doors or make 1,000 cold calls or throw your card to everybody in the Starbucks line, right?
Yep.
And I want you to know, I hope that somebody listens to this and they decide not to do that, because the days of pissing off 9 people to get the 10th sale is over, right? No more of that. I don't want people to do that anymore. So the bottom line is, if you're acting in the spirit of helpfulness and the spirit of generosity, they will reciprocate. They will want to reciprocate, right? And we have to teach people that the way to reciprocate, if you felt like I gave you value, the way to reciprocate to me is one way. We need to define the way they can help us, and that is referrals, right? When they say, how can I help you? Your answer is referrals. When they say, what can I do for you? It's referrals. It's when they say anything, it's referrals, right? Yep. So we need to teach people how to reciprocate. And the first part is giving massive value first through proactive, unexpected, not so random acts of generosity, right?
Yep.
And when you do that, they are going to want to reciprocate. And when they do it, we've got to train them that it's all about referrals.
And that's a great point, because a lot of people think that referrals are a myth. They think there's something that just magically happens, but there's a way and a strategy to make it happen. I know Dean Jackson is a person I've talked about on the show. He calls them orchestrated referrals. He said there's passive, active, and then orchestrated. And if you can orchestrate those referrals, you can build in a massive business. So can you talk about some of the strategies that you do use and what's worked for you?
Well, that number one, that is the strategy, right? Proactive generosity is a strategy. That's how you orchestrate referrals. I'll give some examples, right? This is so off script. I love it that we're talking about my Nike in the way that we are. Thank you for doing that. And so one thing is all right. So we'll go into like a one-on-one, right? You're sitting down, you're having a one-on-one. And I would love, let's just do it, right? Sure. Let's give your viewers some pop here, right? I could tell them, but how about we just show them, right? Sure. Just to throw you totally off script, right? Yeah. And I'm going to ask you some really hard questions about the color of your underwear. So I want you to be ready for that.
All right.
I know you're strong enough to do this, or else I wouldn't go there. Most hosts and hostesses, I would set back and just throw strategy, but this is going to be more valuable.
All right.
So let me ask you the first question, and it is a serious question, and it's the first question that I ask a lot of people. And and I am genuinely curious about you, Ryan, with regard to this. And that is, so out of curiosity, out of the following 4 options, I'm going to give you 4 options. I want you to just pick one, okay? So out of the following 4 options, how would your best friend or spouse best describe you? 1, straight to the point. 2, social and outgoing. 3, steady and dependable. Or 4, cautious and perfectly accurate. Do you need me to repeat those 4, or do you kind of have them?
I have them. I would say I can only pick one. Steady and dependable, with being accurate on the side, with a taste of accurate.
So steady and dependable is your like that's your big moon, right? That's the main one. And then you feel like you have a secondary moon or a secondary strength of being that cautious and perfectly accurate.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay, awesome. Well, first of all, that's awesome. I'm very similar to that. I care a lot about family, and I care about security and safety. And I care about other people's opinions and what they think. And there will be no controversy in what we do today, which is good. Other than that Nike thing.
I'm okay with it.
And the other part of this too is I am extremely cautious and a perfectly accurate person. In fact, sometimes I can be of that perfect is the enemy of done kind of thing? Can you like relate to that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're similar in those aspects. So thank you for that. Next thing is so with that we kind of talk about what So tell me about your family, right? Do you have children?
No.
No children?
I am single. So any listeners that are listening, I am single.
I have done my job. That is it. Ryan.
That's the referral you can send me.
Totally. Here's the deal, right? So now you have a whole new strategy, Ryan. Yours is generosity to reciprocity leads to referrals for dating, right? So that's awesome. So we're done here today.
Thank you.
Yeah. So no family. Do you have any pets or anything like that?
No.
Are you from Toronto originally?
No, I grew up in Niagara region, just outside Niagara Falls.
Okay. On the U.S. side or Canada side?
On the Canada side, right on the border. Fort Erie, it's literally the bridge connects Fort Erie to Buffalo. So.
Okay, excellent. All right, and then what do you do for an occupation? What do you do for work?
I'm in real estate, and I am a productivity coach in the office as well.
Okay, so you coach people on productivity, and you're also in productivity, right? So you're also running your business.
Yep.
Okay, and so what do you do when you're not working? What do you do for fun besides these interviews and talk about people's Nikes? What do you do for fun?
It's changed over the years, but more so I'm spending time with my family and friends. I've had to try to find that balance of work-life balance, so I'm spending more of the social stuff. I hike, work around the house. I enjoy reading, going on road trips, things like that.
So what's the best book you've read recently?
I have a lot on the go.
No, I'll help you with that one. No, I'm just kidding.
So I haven't read yours recently. No, I've got the what was the book called? Willpower Instinct was a great book I just read.
Yeah, good one. So Willpower Instinct, which is that's an interesting book. We could actually have a conversation about that. So I feel like I've already gotten to know you a little bit better, right? And so let me ask you this. So what are your goals? Like, do you have a goal, either personal or around like with your hiking or your reading or your business? Do you have a goal in any of those aspects?
My goal is to take this show to a larger audience, but one of my big goals is I want to speak at family reunion at Keller Williams on Nikes and share my love and passion for Nikes with larger audiences. Okay.
So you want to speak at family reunion on Nikes, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then also you want to take your niche and Nike interview series to a bigger audience. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So that's awesome, by the way. And so what have you tried so far to take this audience to be larger?
Well, it's upping the game and upping the content, having people like yourself on, sharing it with the right people, and just, to me, I think is the consistency is the key, is doing it every week at the same time, launching every Monday, and paid off because people now know it and expect it to be out there. Okay. And so what are you going to do next to expand the audience of this show? I've got some plans in the pipeline. I want to start writing for other websites, other magazines and things like that, and expand my reach that way, as well as, again, reach out to larger audiences, as well as have more guest bloggers and things like that on the show. Okay, great. So that's good. And having guests that have large platforms is definitely going to expand that as well, right? Yeah. Truthfully, hopefully I can help you there. Absolutely. I mean, are you open to me introducing you to the Jack Cottons and Stacey Alcorns, Pat Hybens, and people like that of the world? 120%. Okay, super. And so here's the deal. You probably feel like you're in the middle of 20 questions, and no, I don't mean. I feel like a guest now. Yeah. So exactly. So here's the question that I have for you is and I know I've asked about like your family and recreation interests, things like that, and your occupation and of course your goals. And I've really dominated the question. So let me just stop a second
And are there any questions that you have for me?
I have lots, but to me, it's just I want to get out the best value that I can out of this interview for the audience, and so they can have the biggest takeaways.
So ask me, what are my goals?
Talking about you, whatever we can do to give the audience the best value.
Yeah. So ask me, what are my goals?
So what are your goals for yourself, your book? You've got some projects on the go. So what are your goals then?
One goal. It's about referrals. Okay. I have a referral goal. My referral goal is to give 10 referrals and receive 5 referrals in the next 7 days. Yeah, so my referral goal is to give 10 referrals and receive 5 referrals in the next 7 days.
And I will do my best to help you. I'm on the other side of the country, but I will definitely help to do that.
Oh, well, you know what? Well, thank you. Thank you for that offer. And just know that I'm going to help you. And when I go to help you, and if you ever want to return the favor, just know that the best way to return the favor to me is in the form of referrals. And so that makes it very easy. And it could be the connection to somebody in Toronto. It could be the connection to somebody in Kansas City or Atlanta. So just know that I can move anyone anywhere. I can help anyone anywhere.
Good. And through the show, that will definitely help, because now I'm exposing you to the people that listen to it, so we can definitely help with that.
Thanks. And so I want to step out of this little bit of a role play that we did, right? Yep. And so what I did is I just executed the frog play. Essentially, it's called a frog play. And frog is the first question I asked you. Did you kind of get the gist of the very first question I asked?
What was my goal?
Even before that, the very first question I asked you was, out of the following 4 options.
Oh, right. Yes.
Right? Yep. Hopefully the listeners wrote that down, because that is called the magic question. And what's interesting about that is I immediately found out from you that you are an SC on the DISC behavioral test, right? Yep. So I gave you a DISC test, and you passed with flying colors, which is interesting because you're the host of a show, and most people would assume that you're an I or a D. You're not. You're a high S and a second element of a C. So I'm going to communicate with you far differently than I would a high D or a high I. Does that make sense?
Yep. Actually, I just did my assessment 2 days ago, and I'm a CSI. I'm pretty level right across the board. So my broker owner said, you're basically level. You've got a pretty level playing field. You're kind of balanced with everything. So. Yeah,
you can relate to a lot of different people. You can definitely relate to perfect is the enemy of done.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of times you get into a project and you want it to be perfect. And it's like, it's not perfect, so it never gets done, right? Yeah. So it's one of those where that helps me in our communication. So that's the first step, is I asked the magic question. And then I talked about your family and asked about your family. I got to know you better from a family aspect. And now I can hook you up with all the most beautiful women in Toronto, right?
I appreciate it.
Yeah. See, that would that give you massive value?
Absolutely. Right? And they don't have to be in Toronto either. You can sell anywhere. I can date anywhere too.
You know what? That's a great attitude right there, Ryan. That is so. And then the other thing is I
can run this podcast anywhere.
Yeah. The other thing is I asked about your interests, right? What do you do when you're not doing what you do? And you talked about hiking, and you talked about spending time with family, and you talked about reading, right?
Yeah.
So a gift of a book to you, especially something that built off of willpower, right?
Yeah.
Would be an appropriate gift. And so I learned a lot about how to build a relationship and give massive value first to you, right?
Yep.
All right. Then I asked, what are your goals? Make sense?
Yep.
And you told me about your goals, and we had a conversation about your goals. Well, that's a powerful question for 3 reasons. One is that now I have a target, like Cupid's arrow, right? I now have a target for my affection, for where to be generous. And the way to be generous for Ryan right now is to get you on a stage at family reunion, help him build his audience, and help refer him to other real estate Nike people who have a large platform, right? So I have do I have a ton of ammunition in this wonderful relationship? Do I have a bag of value that I could throw to you?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, right? And so here's the other thing, right? Is notice where I stopped. I stopped after asking you what your goals are, right? So one benefit to asking you if you have goals is that those who have goals make better referral sources.
Right.
So if I'm asking a networking person or somebody else, and I ask them what are your goals, and they don't have any, then it's like, wow, I'm not sure if I'm going to pour my time, energy, effort, and money into that relationship, right?
Right.
But if they have goals like you do, I know. In fact, I noticed myself in the screen down below getting closer to you when you had a goal, right? I naturally got more interested because, like, all right, I know that if I deliver a ton of value to you, you're likely to reciprocate because you're a goal setter and you're driven and you're motivated, right? So if I share it with your goal and I help you achieve your goal, you're going to help me achieve my goal, right? The third reason that I ask you what are your goals is because there is a thing called conversation reciprocity. Conversation reciprocity is whatever I ask you, it's a 68% chance that you're going to ask me back the exact same question I just asked you. So you're likely to ask me, what are my goals, right?
Yeah.
And what was my goal? Do you remember what it was?
Referrals.
Referrals, right? And do you remember how I stated my goal?
To get as many referrals as you can.
Close, right? And I'm going to restate it just so those that have written this down can write it down again. Is my referral goal is to give 10 referrals.
Give 10 referrals and get 5 referrals back.
Receive 5 referrals in the next 7 days. Right? So that's my referral goal, right? And just know that now that you know my goal, what does that tell you about me?
You have a goal.
Knowing my goal, what information about me do you now know that you didn't know before?
I know you have something you're working towards. You're willing to get it. You said it specifically. You didn't just add like referrals. You said how many referrals, what type of referrals, and when you want them by. So you were very accurate and particular about it.
That's right. And not only that, but what do you know for sure that I want and need?
Referrals.
And what is important to me in my business?
Referrals.
Yeah, right? So here's the thing. The people that are watching this or listening to this are, it's like I do this in my classes. All right, so how many of you want and need referrals? And everybody raises their hand. And then it's like, all right, how many of you would refer to referrals as really important to you and your business? Everybody raises their hands. And then I go, all right, so how many of you have a referral goal? And nobody raises their hand. So the thing is if you want and need something, and something is important to you, we know that we should have a goal about that. And when we express our goal to the world conspires to help us achieve our goals. That's why we want to be specific with setting our goals, is because the more specific we are, the more likely others can help us achieve our goal, right?
Yep.
So what I just did right there, the referral goal is a central point to the entire generosity generation, because you could ask me anything, and I could lead it to my referral goal.
Right. Now, so how do you set that number? Because I know a lot of people may have an unrealistic number or may not shoot big enough, and they go, well, I'd be happy with 1 referral. So how do you know what's the important number or what's that goal?
I just gave it to you.
How did you come up with that?
Oh my gosh, like thousands of iterations.
Okay.
And okay, so why is that the number? I mean, here's the thing. I'm not sure if your listeners want to know why. I can tell them why. The why is 7 days is instantly relatable, and 7 days is a week. So instead of saying my referral goal is to give 1,000 referrals and receive 500 referrals this year, right? What does that do? That instantly like takes away your power to help me achieve that goal. I mean, 1,000 referrals and 500 received. It's like you would be a drop in the ocean, right? But by delivering it in a week, right, 7 days, it creates a sense of urgency about me achieving that goal, right? And a sense of urgency for you is, listen, this is the week. And then the other thing is why 10 and 5? 10 and 5 is the second easiest mathematical equation in the world, right? It's people instantly know half of 10 is 5, right? The number one is 4 and 2, just so you know. My referral goal is to give 4 referrals and receive 2 referrals in 7 days. Perfectly fine referral goal. Yep. But most of my clients coaching clients have had the most success with my referral goal is to give 10 and receive 5 in the next 7 days.
Okay. That's great to know because, again, there's psychology behind it. It's not just a random number, and there's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
So when someone does give you a referral, when you hit that referral goal, do you have a system in place? Do you have a process to follow up with them, to reward them? Like, what do you do once you get a referral then?
Yeah, so the first thing is when I get one, it depends, right? Is the honest to goodness answer. And it only depends on what kind of referral it is, right? If let's say it's a real estate referral, because that's your clientele, right? That's who's going to watch this. Yep. So when I get a referral, I am going to immediately call the referral source and find out how the best way to approach the referral is, right? And in that call, I'm going to talk to the referral source, and I'm going to say this very important statement is, regardless of the outcome, please know how much I appreciate this gesture. Please know how much I appreciate referrals. Referrals are truly the heart and soul of my business, and so thank you. Right? So I'm going to express very big, massive appreciation to the gesture, right? All right. Then I'm going to call the referral, and I'm going to call the referral, and I've got I've got a buyer questionnaire, I've got a listing questionnaire, of course I've got intake forms, right? When I'm done, I'm going to call the referral source back, and I'm going to say, hey, I just wanted to let you know, I just talked to Cindy, we've got an appointment Saturday, and I just wanted to let you know, I also just wanted to say thank you again. Right? And then every Tuesday, in the current case, I have a referral manager because we get so many referrals, right? So every Tuesday, my referral manager is calling the referrals and the referral sources, period, right? Yep. So she is the hub, and I'll give you an example. If I sent you a referral in Toronto, and that could happen. Right?
Yep.
So it happens, then you will hear from Lisa every Tuesday, and the person I sent to you in Toronto will hear from us every Tuesday, which does a lot of things, right? One, it secures communication, but the other thing is it helps us get paid, right?
Right.
Because early in the days I would send it out and then forget about it, and they either closed and I never got a referral fee, yeah, or they didn't ever follow up with the referral, which is, unfortunately that has happened.
Yeah.
So every Tuesday she's the hub of the wheel, right? Let's keep going with the real estate referral and talk about off script. Are we so off script or what? Holy cow. The people listening think we actually had a script. That's what's really cool. They actually thought you had questions to ask me. But let me tell you what the next step is for my referral manager, and this would be a great strategy to kind of follow up and wrap up on, is It's my legacy strategy. This is the strategy that people will be implementing 100, 200 years from now, and they'll be saying, I learned that from Michael Maher. And it's called the Great Retrace, right? So this is a good question anyway. So who recommended to you that you should have Michael J. Maher on your show today?
Clout in general. Just hearing about you, seeing you involved on the Facebook groups and things like that, I saw your presence and saw the connections you had and the respect you had in the industry, so I knew that that's someone I wanted to reach out to.
Okay, awesome. So that's good. So the Great Retrace with you would end at you, right?
Right.
But if somebody had recommended me to you, which that does happen, right? In fact, that happens most of the time, is so the line, the retrace, would be you and then that person, right?
Yep.
So I'll just give an example that's top of mind, right? So I got referred a seller from the referral source. Her name's Christy. Christy was connected to me, introduced to me by Joyce, right? And then Joyce was referred to me 5 years ago by a gal named Denise. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So Stephanie, I would call Stephanie, and I would essentially, let's say it's just right out of the referral, right? So I would express appreciation to Stephanie for choosing the Kansas City home team and myself, right? Then I would call Christy, and I would say, hey, Christy, Stephanie went ahead and listed with us today. I just wanted to call and express my appreciation. Thank you so much for connecting me to Stephanie, right?
Yep.
And then I would call Joyce, and I would say, hey, Joyce, I just wanted to let you know that you were the reason for me to have some business today. And I just wanted to kind of go over that. So Stephanie, by the way, Stephanie listed with us today. Stephanie was referred by Christy, and you connected me to Christy a couple of years ago at a networking function. By the way, Joyce, when's the last time you talked to Christy? Oh, it's been like 6 months. Here's the deal, Joyce, you need to call Christy today and reconnect with her. I just talked to her. Here's her number. Give Christy a call today. Awesome. Now, then I'm going to call Denise, and I'm going to say, hey, Denise, you were top of mind today because I just had something wonderful happen. I just listed a house. It's going to be coming on the market in a couple of weeks, but her name's Stephanie, and Stephanie was referred to me by a gal named Christy. And do you know Christy D? I don't know Christy D. Here's the deal. I'll do an email introduction for you and Christy today so that you two can connect, because I truly see synergies there. You're two powerful women. You need to know each other. Also, Christy was introduced to me by Joyce, and you remember referring me to Joyce 5 years ago to sell her townhome. So the first reason for my call is to express my appreciation, because if you had not referred me to Joyce 5 years ago, I would have never been introduced to Christy 2 years ago at a networking function, and I would have never had the opportunity to help Stephanie and her family. So the first reason for my call is to say thank you. The next thing, Denise, is when's the last time you talked to Joyce? Oh, it's been like a year. Oh, you need to reconnect with Joyce. I just talked to her. Here's her number. Give her a call. Here's the deal. I'll do the introduction to Christy today, and please call Joyce today, and just know how much I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
And that's such a great and powerful script process, because a lot of agents get started and they say, I don't have anybody to call. Mm-hmm. You've now just added that many more people to call to your database that if you never called them, you lost contact with them, and you added that many more people to stay in touch with, and it's just, again, it's constantly reminding them. So that's very powerful, so thank you for sharing that.
Well, Ryan, it's so up your alley, and I see you teaching this as a productivity coach, and I'll tell you why, is because have you ever done something for someone that you thought was it was like pretty cool, it was like pretty important, or you felt like you gave value,
yep,
and yet they didn't appreciate it, Have you ever had that experience?
Once in a while.
Yeah, yeah. So here's the deal. How likely are you to do something else for that person that didn't appreciate your efforts?
Much less likely.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Have you ever done something that you just thought was like a natural course of your job, or just something that really wasn't that big a deal, but they were like so appreciative? I mean, they were sincerely, genuinely, and verbally appreciative of your efforts. Have you ever had that?
Absolutely.
How likely are you to do something for that person?
Much, much more.
Yeah, you're likely to run through a brick wall for the
Yep.
appreciative person, right?
Yep.
So that's the thing, right? The whole thing. I was just asked on Zig Ziglar's worldwide webcast, like, boil down the secret to success in life, love, and business, and it's 5 words. It's give generously and receive appreciatively, right? Give generously and receive appreciatively, and honestly, in my opinion, that's the best business philosophy ever. Give generously, proactively, unexpectedly. Proactive generosity leads to reciprocity, right? They're going to want to help you, but we have to be very clear on how to help us, and the way to help us is with referrals. And what's funny or cool is that referrals are the most profitable type of business, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no acquisition cost, so you've got referrals, and then referrals lead to profitability, right? And then profitability over time leads to having time and money, which is prosperity, right? So generosity leads to reciprocity, reciprocity leads to referrals, referrals lead to profitability, and profitability leads to prosperity. Well, what's prosperity lead to more of, right? Generosity.
Yeah.
So what I just outlined is the generosity cycle, and I don't know where your audience is as far as biblical practices, but listen, that's a promise over 2,000 years old. In Proverbs 11:25, it says, "A generous one shall be a prosperous one. He who refreshes shall be refreshed himself." And what's interesting is that we've never had anybody outline the path to prosperity, right? And that's what the generosity cycle is it is the path from generosity to prosperity so that we can fulfill that promise that's over 2,000 years old.
Wow. I normally ask for a golden nugget, and I think you just you just gave it in that whole segment. So that is great advice, and we do appreciate it.
My pleasure.
You said your goal is to get 10 referrals, or to give 10 referrals and to get 10 referrals. So, I mean, I'm going to do everything I can. Now, they may not be house referrals, but they're definitely going to be agent referrals. So, I want to, obviously, my listeners are going to listen to this, and hopefully through that connections, they're going to connect with you. So what are the best ways for them to connect with you, and how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so thank you very much for that. And I think what we've done here is we've scratched the surface a little bit on how to lead with generosity, and people are looking for what's the next step. And so I've actually set up a free webinar so that they can get more in depth on our strategies and tactics. It's free, completely free. I think at last check we had 41 seats available to go into the webinar. We're not going to buy a bigger GoToWebinar package because I'm giving this for free, right? There's no investment there. But I want to help answer the questions that they have about how to go from relationships to referrals without even asking for referrals. And so it's freebonuswebinar.com. Freebonuswebinar.com. They can register right there. Everybody who registers, this is a gift for you, Ryan. Every single person who registers, I'm going to give them a nearly $500 value. I'm going to give them the entire housewarming party system.
Wow.
I'm going to give them the checklist, the procedures, and then the secret weapon, which is the door prize entry form. Everybody who registers for the free bonus webinar, I'm just gonna give them that housewarming party system.
Awesome. That's great. What I'll do is I'll put the link in the show notes as well, so they can check that out. And if they're listening to it, they can go to thenicheagent.com, and then in the interview they'll be able to find that. So again, if they don't or aren't able to make the webinar, check out your book. So can you just mention how they can get the book and where they can find it?
Yeah. So of course Amazon, right? Of course Barnes and Noble. If you want to save a little bit of money and you want me to sign it, you can go to michaeljmaher.com. Maher is spelled M-A-H-E-R, like making a home everyone's reality, right? Because it's spelled wrong, I had to come up with something cheesy. And as I promised in the beginning, I'm sure your listeners are underwhelmed with my intelligence. I mean, this is truly the simpleton's way to success, and it's been a blast. And thank you for having me on. I appreciate what you're doing for the industry.
Well, thank you, and it's been a great experience, and we really appreciate having you on and sharing that valuable information and sharing your insights, because a lot of times agents feel they're alone at times, and they may not see there's big agents who are doing these things, and they think they're these celebrities out in Hollywood doing whatever, and just show you real people, you have real strategies, and it's not rocket science, it's just doing it. So we thank you for sharing that with the audience.
Absolutely, I appreciate it, and just remember that the tortoise always wins the race. I mean, I think that's the thing, is it's consistent, steady action on a daily basis, not at 200 miles an hour, not at 40 miles an hour. It's going 60 every single day, and that's what leads to mastery, and that's what leads to success. It may take you 40 years to become an overnight success. It's okay.
So thank you for being on the Nike Agent. Now I'll never get that out of my head, so thank you.
Great. I'm looking for the swoosh. I love it.
All right, thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Great show.